Right, so hey everyone and welcome back to another budget photography video. So, let's face it, drones are, well, you've got two kind of spectrums, really expensive ones from places, that makes no sense, from such companies such as DJI, where they're really expensive, or you've got the cheap, crappy, knockoff ones that are just never very good for, well, anyone apart from maybe even a 2-year-old. But what if I told you I could show you something that is reasonably priced? So it's not massively cheap, but it has the quality of DJI, and it's in the middle. It's not massively crappy, but it's not expensive. Let me introduce you to the Mavic Air. Yes, the Mavic Air. Released in about 2017, roughly. It's a fair few years old, and it's a DJI, so it's good quality, but it's a few years old, meaning it's cheaper. You can pick this up for about £300, maybe £400 at a push. I would personally try and get as low, obviously everyone wants as low a value as possible, but I would personally price something like this at about £200 personally, but they are currently going for about 300 to 400. So we've got the cheap, it's decently priced, but what about the quality? Well, we've got 4K and we've got D-Log. Now, unfortunately, we don't have 60 FPS, which is the frame rate that I'm filming in now. So it all looks fairly sharp and really, really nice. We do only have about 25 to 30 FPS, but it's easy to use. And that is no more prevalent than with my little one, who is currently, let's turn this around, who is currently sat behind the camera on his Switch. Whose drone this actually is. This isn't my drone. This belongs to my 6-year-old, soon to be 7. That's how easy it is. To the fact of where my 7-year-old can fly it. Why don't I show you him flying it? So first of all, this is the interface on the phone that we are given. It kind of automatically knows what drone you're using. I mean, I'm using an extending Y because I don't have the original one, but that's okay. So we go straight into some calibration, which is always annoying, but it has to be done on these older DJI products. But that's okay. They're not that hard to accomplish. There we go. We extend the antennas out properly. Now, there are a few ways. That's fine. Okay, there the intelligence. To fly this. Noah?
First I need to get these on.
Oh yeah, you need to take your antennas out. Go on, take off. Can you remember how to take off?
Yeah.
Go on then.
What button?
No, you don't remember how to take off. Would you like Daddy to take off?
Yeah.
Right, mind out. Move your fingers. Right, so we're getting... wait! I never said to go yet. Wait a minute. Come back down. There we go. Right, wait a minute. So we do have a safety notice here, first of all, before we take off. This is just authorization zones, so that's fine. We'll just cancel that. That's fine. So we can then just gently start up the propellers. Yep, that's fine. Go away. Right, now we gently take off. There we go. And it's just like that. So now you guys can see, if we just bring, if you bring it up a bit, push up gently, nice and gently, that's it. Stop there. Stop right there for me. Now I'm even going to go in front. Come over here. And you guys can perfectly see me on the well, you're watching on my iPhone that I'm screen recording. Now, a lot of these things usually require, hang on, let me go back in front of my main camera. Right, bring it down. Now, a lot of these usually require something like a SD card or some sort of flash memory storage that you can remove, not the Mavic Air. While yes, it can take a micro SD, you also do have around 8 gigabytes of internal storage, meaning if you forget your SD card, you should be okay. So as you can actually see, it says it right there. So now we are recording on the drone. Go on, take off. Let's just take off.
You need to push the take off button.
Wait. He wants to calibrate the compass again. Come here. So this is actually a problem with these older DJI drones, as I said. It does require, there we go, calibration failed. Quite often recalibrating its compass, which the newer models don't actually have a problem with. And it is just annoying to have to keep doing it every single time that you're trying to fly your drone. So that is one big downside. Now, one of the things that I do remember here is we do actually have an automatic takeoff. So we don't actually need to use the controller. Now, you do need to use the controller, but if I push the button here and push precise record takeoff point, and then we push takeoff, the drone will automatically take off. We'll push cancel on that. Wait a minute, Noah, it's okay. Now the drone is using all of its sensors that it does have to be able to take off and fly.
I can actually do this. Can I bring it down a little bit?
Go on then, bring it down, Noah. Now again, I'm not really controlling the drone. I can override, and I can tell it to land and to do, right, stop there, Noah. But my 6-year-old, whilst trapped to me via this wire, is controlling the drone. Noah, can you turn it around and face me? Keep going. So it's facing Daddy.
It is now.
No, it's not, that's the back. You turn it around, look, nice and easy. We turn the drone around. There we go, look at that. Now, what I will say is, it is a very loud device. You can hear it.
Propellers.
Huh?
Yeah. It has propellers. Does it help make the noise?
Yeah, which help it to fly. So if we gently bring this forward now, we can see that it is very, very stable in flight. And it doesn't really, you know, I mean, let's bring it back. I mean, to be fair, there isn't any wind today, which, you know, doesn't really help its case in terms of its stability. But what I do know is that it can handle around 17 miles per hour of wind. And that's with me using it. Now, it does have a top speed of around, I believe it was around 30 to 40 kilometers per hour. Now in sports mode, which it does have, which makes it a hell of a lot faster, it is, well, let's go back. Oh, that's down, you idiot. Let's go back. Now, what I will say is when switching the device into sports mode, it does disable all, and I mean all of the sensors. So if you crash, that's on you, really. Let's switch them back on. I've managed to wrestle the controls out of the little one for the next few minutes, and he's now occupied with his switch controller. as you can see now from my phone, we are at 239 feet. Now we can go even higher than that. Let's keep the camera pointed up. We're going 280, 290. I've still got a decent signal on all this. Maximum altitude reach, 329 feet. That is decent. And that's not only decent, that's pretty good. You can see, oh, we've somehow got to 300. Oh no, 329, I just said it. I don't know why I said it like that. So you can see actually a lot. Now this is in photo mode, it's in full auto. Now we do have 12 megapixel DNG files, which are really good. It's a shame that, you know, it's not full fat RAW, but for a small device, DNG is not too bad. Now, on the filming aspect for videos, we do have 4K 30 D-Cine-like, which I'm going to put on now. There we go, that was already on. Which means we just have a little bit more room. So if I push record here and then go down here, now bearing in mind I'm in auto settings, so it's going to be a little bit harder for me to color grade, but if I keep it like this and we move forward for a little while, I can color grade this video that I'll show at the end of this video, and it will look a lot better than this. So you can see I'm moving along at quite a decent pace now. Oh, high wind. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording and I'm going to push one of my favorite buttons, and that is the return to home, RTH. And I've got it here on the controller, right here, right where you want it. And I can push it and you can watch the feed on the camera here as it's turning around, and it is using the GPS of the drone, of where it knows its home point is and where it knows that this is, and it's coming home. Now, I don't always fully trust the RTH. I really don't. I always do the landing part mostly myself, because I usually personally use RTH to get me out of places that, you know, you don't really want to be in. But these are usually pretty good. And there's the circle that we are on. So you can see the battery is going down. That is another factor that I will get into once the drone has landed. So we do get this annoying beep as well from the controller that tells us that it's coming in. Now, let's see if it can dodge the trees, because there are a lot of trees around here, let's face it. And this drone is a few years old, and I feel like it's going to hit the trees. I'm going to stand under it for a minute and have a look. No, I think it should be okay. I am going to let it land itself. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not touching the controls. The drone is scanning the area. It's bringing up the camera, and the drone has fully landed with RTH. Now, there is one big issue that I personally don't like about the Mavic Air, at least this first one. It's the battery life. As we just saw, there was around 4 to 5 minutes left of flight time on this drone. So we're not, whoops, you don't really get that much flight time on this drone. But something that I will say is it is fun. So if we go back up now, and I switch this into sport mode, let's go up a bit more, let's bring the camera up. We can get to places really quickly. This is really a fun little drone. And we're losing video signal. Yeah, this is another thing that actually I'm not a big fan of with the Mavic Air. And I'm going to push RTH again because I'm losing video signal, so that's fine. Unfortunately, this doesn't fully use GPS. It uses Wi-Fi. which, whilst kind of good, is just kind of not as good as full GPS. So there we go, we're over the ruins now. Okay, so let's put sports mode off, slow it down a bit. So yeah, which means the range will not be as far as something on, you know, going there, which means the range will not be as good as other drones. So it's kind of, so because of its short Wi-Fi range and, well, frankly, subpar battery, I would recommend getting 2. You're not going to be doing much flying, unfortunately, which is a big issue, which is why I just said get 2 batteries if you want more than around, you know, 10 minutes after setting everything up, sorting out its compassing issues and anything else that you may need to actually do. You're only going to get around 5 to 10 minutes of actual flying time. So, as I just said, I would recommend getting 2 batteries, maybe even 3, to actually fully utilize the Mavic Air. Now, the footage and pictures today are okay. They're not amazing. A mobile phone could probably do a lot better, but if you're just kind of, you know, giving it to your child, or if you're just getting into drone photography and cinematography, then the Mavic Air is kind of, you know, perfect, because you don't really care about the full quality. You just want to get in the air and fly and take pictures. It doesn't matter what they look like. Once you know that you fully enjoy this, you know, this hobby and this potential job or career, then you can start to spend more money on it. But also, as I said, they do look okay. So, you know, if you do shoot in D-Cine, like if you do shoot in the DNG files, then you're going to have room to play in Lightroom, meaning you can make them look pretty good. Now, one of the biggest problems with the Mavic Air that I've kind of already touched on is the camera itself. It's not the best. Let's be fair. It is only 12 megapixels, meaning you're not going to be able to crop in if you want to. And because of its small size, not even just the sensor small size, but the camera is just so small, the sensor is 1/2 inches, meaning it is absolutely tiny. You're not going to get much dynamic range. You're not going to get much, you know, depth of field, and low light is going to be crap in comparison to modern drones. But if you are just looking for a fun toy to, as I said, give to your kid, or just get into the world of drone photography, then the Mavic Air is perfect. And you know what? Even all these years later, I still love flying the Mavic Air. I really do. I've got my Mavic 3 sat at home right now, who I didn't really want to do a video on, because this drone, this Mavic Air from around I think it's around 2017, is a lot more fun. It's nippy. It's not as quick as the Mavic 3, who can go a lot quicker, but this is like, it's really hard to, you know, explain. It's fun. It just is. Now, it does have anti-crash sensors, but, and it's a big but, they do make it nearly impossible to crash, but not impossible to crash, because, well, a few months after I had it, I crashed it. Although, to be fair, if I remember correctly, I turned them off and I was flying backwards. So that may have been my fault, but I can't remember. But it can crash. It doesn't have full 360 degrees like modern ones do. It has sensors at the rear here, and sensors at the front, and sensors on the bottom just there. There are no top sensors, so if you take off and you hit a tree, bye-bye drone. Now, luckily, because of the age of this drone, third-party parts are really easy to come by. As a matter of fact, these propellers that I've got on here right now are third-party. And I'll be honest, I was a little bit skeptical about them at first, but they seem to work really, really well. And it's from a company, Master Air Screw is the company that I used. And I use them actually for most of my drones' propellers because they do break. You are going to need more propellers. They just wear out over time. Small little crashes that you do, they get chipped and just slightly damaged no matter how careful you are. One big thing I would say though is if you get the drone and you've got the little casing that goes on the front here, yeah, don't lose it like I did, because your gimbal is then just going to be sat just like that. Now when it's on, it's perfectly fine because the gimbal sits centered and it does exactly what a gimbal is supposed to do. But when it's switched off like this, it just kind of, it's free to kind of just, yeah, you get my point. So yeah, I love this thing. I really do. And it's so compact. You put the antennas down, you fold the legs away, and boom, look at that. That will fit in most people's bags, even their day bags. Like, look how small it is. There are smaller. There are. The new Mini Pro 4, I think it's called, that is a sub 250 gram drone, is a lot smaller. This is not a sub 250 gram drone. I believe this is 440 grams. I could be wrong. Meaning you will, in the UK, and as far as I'm aware, the US, need to register with the local air authority. In the UK, that is the CAA, the Civil Aviation Authority. In the USA, that is the FDA, the FAA, the Federal Aviation Authority, something like that. But if you're anywhere else, and actually if you're even in these two countries that I've just mentioned, please make sure to check your local laws, because you might have local laws that are different to the rest of the laws, especially in places like America. I believe you can't fly, or at least you can't take off in national parks with these drones. I think I heard that from Ken, but I'm not 100%. So please check your local laws and your government laws on flying drones in your area. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me in this video, and I'll see you in the next one.